a little bit about me. I basically specialize in short-term rentals, and can I share my screen yet? Or oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
you do have access.
okay. So let me just present. Um, And so I think my presentation is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the presentations that you guys might be used to seeing. My Instagram handle is at Diya ESQ. Don't try to follow me on Twitter because I'm locked out of my Twitter account right now. I forgot my password. So just Instagram and Facebook. And so I think that my love for short-term rentals actually really combines a lot of different elements of what I'm good at, which is numerical analysis, and you'll hear why that is, and then design, and of course my love for travel. And I think that the big component in why I decided to go with short-term rentals really is not just the higher cash flow, as you guys see, but really the lifestyle component of it. So the good thing about vacation rentals is that you can make money anywhere where while you're traveling, wherever you have your cell phone, you can basically make money. And so I was able to take a road trip around the USA just because everything was shut down. I just mostly did national parks and did a lot of outdoorsy things in August 2020. And I was able to just be paid a rental income, just automatically deposited into my PayPal account, while I was traveling. And that's really the lifestyle component. That was really what appealed to me. And so for those of you guys who might be wondering what some of my vacation rentals look like, these are some just really quick pictures of one of my beach rentals. And this is one of my ski cabins. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about this later on, but I also like short-term rentals because you can actually take a very small amount of money into a very large amount of cash flow. And so for this particular ski cabin, because I was actually able to put 10% down because it was a secondary home. And by the way, my lender knows 100% that I rent this property out on VRBO and Airbnb. So it's totally above the board. And I'm still able to put only 10% down, and I'm able to cash flow about 40 grand a year. And so, and then the other reasons why I like short-term rentals is not just financial freedom, but the fact that unlike a lot of other aspects of real estate investing where you actually have to be kind of tied to a physical location to really make money, or you can actually be anywhere as long as you have your cell phone with the Airbnb or VRBO app installed, and you have your phone to kind of answer any questions that guests may have. And a lot of time, and once you automate everything, you have actually a lot of free time to pursue whatever passions you have. So I'm going to skip some of the oh, and also of course let other people pay for your dream ski cabin or your beach house or whatever that you might want to get anyway. And so I'm gonna skip around some of these slides because I just have a lot of slides. But so this is actually my updated numbers from 2020. So this is actually just the Airbnb income. It doesn't include the VRBO or the direct bookings and etc., which I also had. And so you can see on the left-hand side, when you add all the direct bookings and VRBO bookings, I think it was well over 250 grand for 2020. I was supposed to probably be over 300 grand for 2020 had COVID-19 not been a thing, but of course it was for everyone, to everyone's surprise. And so 2021, we're still feeling some of the effects from COVID-19, but I already have 71 grand for this year on the books. And by the way, for those of you guys who are wondering, This is not the only thing I do in real estate. It's just what really enabled me to kind of free up a lot of my time to do other aspects of real estate investing. So I'm only going to focus on the short-term rental side of buy and hold. I'm not going to talk about the other ways I do real estate investing as much today. And then location freedom. So just really quickly, so location freedom, we already talked about that, and time freedom to do whatever you want. So 2021, I am actually more focused on multifamilies. I have 9 vacation rentals right now. I decided that if I want to scale, I should stop getting, single families, condos, duplexes, etc., and start focusing on units that are 5-plex and up. And the reason I was really interested in that specific type of real estate is because I realized that, hey, if the valuation of 5-plex and up is actually based on the net operating income, and the simple conversion of long-term rentals to short-term rentals actually gives me at least 2 to 3x more cash flow, then in theory, the valuation of the building will go way up just with the simple conversion of long-term rentals into short-term rentals. So this is actually a deal that I'm under contract for. It's a 9-plex with a hotel license, about 1 or 2 blocks away from the beach. It's about 100 yards from the beach in Daytona. And the thing about Daytona Beach, like a lot of other parts of Florida, is that it has very strict short-term rental regulations. But what's unique about this 9-plex is that it has a hotel license that's grandfathered in. And also the zoning is actually tourist zoning. And so for multiple reasons, you're actually able to do short-term rentals on this particular 9-plex. So currently it's run really poorly by a retiring couple. And so the building's kind of run down. So I actually included quite a bit of rehab costs on this deal. But you can see that the projected cash flow, even with a very high assumption for the interest rate and everything, it's really, really good compared to a standard long-term rental. And so this is where the building is relative to the ocean. So this is actually the main street that everyone actually drives down to the world's largest drivable beach. And Daytona is really great in that it has a lot of different sources of tourism, whether it's car shows, boat shows, or motorcycle rallies or whatever. So I'm actually, and then I'm also separately under contract for a 13-plex that is on the Texas Gulf Coast. And this is actually me with a couple other people. And we actually were able to negotiate an owner financing of only $125,000 down payment on the 13-plex. So it's going to be a very interesting project as well. So that's what I'm doing in 2021. It's really just focusing on multifamilies, and everything else that I get that is what I would have closed on in earlier years. I'm actually just wholesaling those as vacation rental off-market deals. And then so a little bit about me. Let me see. So super quick intro about me. I really didn't have a linear path to real estate. No one in my family really did real estate. And I actually was born in China, and my family came here when I was 8 years old. And long story short, we were pretty poor. I think we lived on $1,000 a month for a family of 3. And then we were in and out of the immigration courts for probably all the way until I was in college, basically. So I didn't get my green card until I was in college. even though we're legal visa holders during that whole time. And so, this is actually a really funny picture that I always show people just because the definition of American success, so the definition of success to me back then when we first moved here was to have a car, because no one in China really owned a car just because they felt like it back when we were in China. And so when we first got our used Mazda, we took about 200 pictures of us in front of this Mazda and we sent it to everyone back home. It was like, yo, we made it. Look at us. We have a car. We're rolling. And so I just think that's really funny that we took all these photos of us in this used Mazda. It's a good reminder of where I came from. And so, my parents are super Asian, traditional Asian parents. So I was always told like, hey, W-2 job. That's it. That's what you're supposed to do. So, I did just that. I went to UT Austin. I double major in biochemistry and chemical engineering. I decided I was not good at research when I accidentally set fire to a petri dish. Long story short, I decided research is not cut out for me. And then so I decided to do law school instead. And I got a full ride there. I went to law school in New York City. And then I was able to get a pretty good job at one of the top 25 firms in the USA. And so my parents at that point were super proud of me, I guess. And by the way, anyone stop me because I don't actually see the chat right now because I'm full screen on this screen share. So, and so, yeah, I just kind of did all that. And then I realized that this is me working in New York City, making a really good income. And, I went from making zero income and just eating oatmeal and water every single day, as a poor law student, to making a very good income. And so I guess by traditional sense, I had really made it. But I wasn't really happy. I was looking around at all the other attorneys and I realized a lot of people in my industry really had a lot of substance abuse problems, had a lot of problems with depression. I think lawyers are the number one ranked profession for suicides, actually, and also probably substance abuse, I think. And so a lot of people work over 12 hours a day, sometimes over 14, 16 hours a day, especially in New York City. And they will be paying $3,000, $4,000 for a luxury condo in a high rise, but they actually don't see much of their apartment at all. And so I've actually had colleagues that sleep under their desk because it will take them 30 minutes to get home and then another 30 minutes to get back to the work. And so they were just like, well, that's an hour wasted sleep that I won't get. So let me just take a nap under my desk. So that's happening in the legal profession. So I kind of saw that and I was like, I'm making good money, but I don't think this is something I want to do long term. And so actually that's when I did a real brief research for the FIRE movement and then decided basically instead of stocks, I really like just the many benefits of real estate. I don't need to go into that here with this audience. But I try to start doing my first house hack by moving back to Austin. And then I was like, you know what? I need to move back to Austin before the real estate market blows up, which obviously it did. And so I decided to buy a house. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and really, really just humble house. One single owner previously. And I did not know anything about real estate investing at the time. My parents are scientists. My grandparents are also nerds. And so no one in my family really did anything related to investing. Really, we were very frugal. We're raised to be very frugal people, but we don't really invest our money. And so there really wasn't anyone who directed me as to how to rehab, how to estimate, how much I should offer on a house, like any of those things. And so I actually have been an apartment dweller my whole life. And so this is a little bit of a fashion girl moment for me. But this series of messages on the right hand side is actually me trying to figure out back and forth on Facebook Messenger with my friend where my air conditioning filter was. And so I didn't know where it was. And I had to, my friend told me to send a picture of the furnace to him. And then so I did. And then he circled where I should look for my air conditioning filter. And so that's how I found out how to change an air conditioning filter, guys. So I literally did not know anything about real estate investing when I got my first house hack. And so I kind of played around with like long-term tenants and just having housemates and all that stuff. I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that they had their stuff everywhere. I didn't really like that, if I didn't like their personality for whatever reason, I'm stuck with them for a very long time. And so that's my first introduction to Airbnb, or really like furnished rentals, just month-to-month rentals. And so I played around. So this is my house, by the way. And so I played around with Airbnb and just maybe doing like daily rentals, weekly rentals, monthly rentals. And then I got in trouble with the city. So I decided just to stick to monthly rentals after that. For the most part, I still actually, so anyway, and I really liked Airbnb. I really liked that I don't have to do showings to any potential tenants. I didn't have to worry about collecting rent every single month. I didn't have to worry about splitting utilities because utilities is magically included. And I actually got a much higher quality of tenant just because most of the people who are renting a month plus, they're white collar or workers. They're moving to Austin, and or they're a med student doing like a 1 month rotation, or a travel nurse, or just, I actually had a district attorney. He was moving from San Antonio to Austin, and he stayed at my place for a month. And his room was actually, I saw more of his files, like of his legal files, and I saw him. So he really wasn't there that much, just because, attorney life, hashtag. And so I just really liked it. And so I started investing in short-term rentals. And then with just a couple short-term rental units, I was actually able to scale from 0 to 100 grand in terms of net rental income in about 13 months. And so at that point, I was definitely really hooked. And so this is actually my very first booking on Airbnb. I was super nervous. Everyone told me short-term rentals are super risky. Don't do it. Why would you buy this place? Blah, blah, blah. But those are the kind of the naysayers, as you guys probably have. All of you might have naysayers in your life. A lot of those naysayers don't actually own a single piece of real estate themselves. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to shut out all the people who said this is risky, and I'm going to try it, because at this point I had learned how to run numbers. And so I ran numbers on what I was supposed to get every month, and I deducted my monthly expenses, and I knew that this should cash flow on paper. But I was still really nervous. And so I published my listing on a Friday at 10:40 p.m. And by 11:03 p.m., so about 20 minutes later, I got my first booking. And this person is actually arriving the next Monday. And by the way, at that point, I didn't finish setting up my short-term rental yet. I just put it on the site to kind of see what happens. And so I actually had to pay someone to go to pick up a dining table and bench set. so that my rental will actually be ready for my very first set of guests on Monday. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this actually worked. My assumptions worked. Something's happening. So triumphant baby. And so you can see that in 2009, whether in 2020, it doesn't really matter if it's peak season or off season. If you actually price your property right, you can actually keep it pretty booked. And so this is actually this picture in the middle is actually a picture of my very first beach rental. It was a very modest 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. So definitely nothing to, brag about really, but I like decorating. I like interior design. So I really pour my heart into it. And so I kind of really decorate it in a really girly manner. And so I actually get really, really a lot of, I think that actually benefits me in terms of getting a lot of bookings. Oh, fun fact, about 80% of travel decisions are made by females. So, and so, yeah, so during peak season, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath actually gets about $475 a night. And the sales price of this townhouse was, I want to say $255K. And this was also one of the deals I was actually able to put 10% down on. So the good thing about the 10% down, which is basically a secondary home mortgage, for those of you guys who might not be aware of this option, you actually can get more than one secondary home loan. So as long as your income separately your W-2 income or whatever other income you have separately qualifies you for additional secondary homes. So, so it's a really good strategy to really get a bunch of properties really quickly with very little upfront investment. And of course, your interest rates are going to be a lot better than if you just get a straight up rental property loan. And the thing about the secondary home loan is that you actually have to maintain exclusive control over the property, which means that it can't be a long-term rental. And then it can't be managed by a property management company. But you can self-manage on vacation rental websites like Airbnb and VRBO. And the whole thought behind that is that if you're buying this as your getaway beach house, you should conceptually have access to your beach house at all times during the year. And so if you actually turn it over to a long-term rental tenant or a property management company, you no longer have that control. So that's actually in your secondary home rider. And so definitely short-term rental, if you want to get a beach house or something, this is a really good strategy. And so, just really quickly, these are, so what this is a screenshot Airbnb site. And so what I'm able to do is kind of crush my competition. And the way I do it is and you can see that my occupancy is about 95% versus a market average of 57% here. And the way I'm able to do that is basically the same kind of basic concepts that you learn from search engine optimization, which, so if you actually get eyeballs, a lot more eyeballs on your listing, if you are able to figure out exactly what kind of Airbnb algorithms that you can hack to land you closer to page 1 of the search results, then you're actually able to crush your competitors. So it's a totally different concept that most long-term rental investors or wholesalers or whatever, they don't think about on a daily basis. And so it's really a much more tech concept, of course. And so, yeah. Do I want to show that slide? Yeah, so this is kind of my blueprint in terms of what I do is basically market research, acquire property, do the setup, and then outmarket the competition and automate.